Good morning, everyone. We are your reporters for today, and we will be talking about art history. So, the question is, what is art history? Art history is how we study the art from across the world, dating from ancient times to present day. So, it basically covers every aspect of human experience through history. And art history views the works of art not just objects but as the way of understanding how our world developed. And by art history, here are the types of art in different eras, starting with, next ko, Pleogshin, the prehistoric era, dating back at 400,000 BC to 2300 BC. So, during the prehistoric era, uh, people during this time live in caves and survived by hunting and gathering that gradually evolved into learning how to use tools to make things and just like what and yeah, they use tools to make things and to do art. And they make art from natural resources, including crushed berries and stick and brushes. So in here, it says that prehistoric art refers to artifacts from ancient civilizations such as Mesopotamia, Egypt, Greece, and Rome. And just like what I've said, the resources of the art are from the environment such as clay, rocks, woods, minerals, animal hair, fat, and blood to create images. And subject matter included animals and people often told stories. So makita natin sa na nasa cave paintings nila yung mga parang adventures nila habang nagta-travel sila magpack, no? So next, and the next one is Mesopotamia, dating 9000 BC to 300 BCE. And generally, their art in this era was made of carving stone relief used to decorate imperial monuments. And the reliefs depict royal affairs such as hunting and war. Animal forms, particularly horses and lions, were presented in great detail, while human figures were less significant. So the people during the Mesopotamian era are called Sumerians, and the example of their fine works features the use of marble, diorite, lapis lazuli, and hammered gold. And the next era is Egypt, dating back at 5500 to 500 BCE. So, Egyptian art was expressed through painting, sculpture, and jewelry. The artwork embodies a unique style and makes use of an ancient form of symbolic writing. Much of the remaining art comes from tombs and monuments. So, Egyptian art was expressed through painting, sculpture, and jewelry. As you can see on the documentaries and images from the internet, they tend to make various designs of jewelry, especially for their pharaohs and their gods. And their sculpture, like the pyramid, it serves as the tomb of their rulers and also the giant sphinx they choose. And also Egypt, the Egyptian era, were the first civilization to develop literature, science, and mathematics. Their artwork are mostly inspired by their pharaoh and their beliefs in their in different gods. Okay, next. So in Greece, dating back at 1000 BCE to 250 BCE. So, known for their architectural monuments as well as sculptural masterpieces, the Greeks were also expert craftsmen. They crafted and painted beautiful vessels used for everyday lives. And and they are the one who presented the first glimpse at high realism in art. And Greek art stands out among that of other ancient cultures for its development of naturalistic but idealized depictions of the human body, in which largely nude male figures were generally focus of innovation. And the perfection in art is more important than portraying reality in this era. And it is also crucial for them to do symmetry in their sculptural works. And not only that they focus on human sculpture, they also made temples with ceilingless architecture to pay tribute to their gods and goddesses and clay vessels that are depicting legends, stories, and aesthetics. Yeah, next, Shin. So the next one is the medieval age, dating back at 400 to 1300 AD or 200 to 400 to 1400 AD. So the Middle Ages is considered as the Dark Ages. And the Middle Ages remarks as a period between classical and modern history. Hence, it is called Middle. And It was at this time that Christianity was being spread throughout Europe, and so the art and architecture follows a religious tradition. Next, okay, medieval. Medieval pa yung kanina, dating 400 and 1300 AD. So, medieval is a term used to describe the art created over a span of 1,000 years during the Middle Ages, during the Dark Ages. And also, art was largely produced at this time with a variety of medium, including illuminated manuscripts, paintings, sculptures, stained glass, metalworks, mosaics, and even textiles. And also, early medieval art in Europe, in an amalgamation of the artistic heritage of the Roman Empire, the early Christian church, and the barbaric artistic culture of, of Northern Europe. So, this time, it is most common to, and this during this time, most common people are illiterate. They were illiterate. So, artwork took the place of words in books and windows and cathedrals. And in very futile time, most artwork did not survive, no? And those that were religious in nature were preserved by the church. So the next is the Byzantine era, dating back at 400 to 1450 CE. Byzantine art originated and evolved from the Christianized Greek culture of the Eastern Roman Empire, content from both Christianity and classical Greek mythology. It was artistically expressed through Hellenistic modes of style and iconography. So during this time, with the spread of Christianity throughout Europe, art and architecture during the Byzantine era followed a religious theme. They have paintings, mosaics, and sculptures, and it was common forms of artistic expression. And it is also important at this time where Bible manuscripts are illuminated in art. And next one is the Romanesque art, Romanesque era, dating back at 500 to 980 CE. So, Romanesque art, architecture, sculpture, and painting characteristics of the first two great international artistic eras that flourished in Europe during the Middle Ages. So, following tradition at this time, the Romanesque period is marked by lavishly decorated architecture, manuscripts, and embroidery. Romanesque architecture is characterized by towering round arches, massive stone and brickwork, small windows, thick walls, and a propensity of housing art and sculpture depicting biblical scenes. And those architecture were characterized because their churches had to be larger during this time than previous ones in order to accommodate increased numbers of priests and monks, and allows access to pilgrims who wish to view the saints' relics kept in the churches. Okay, next. Next one is the Gothic era or the Gothic art dating back at 1200 to 1400 CE. So during this time, developing in France out of the Romanesque period, Gothic art began with the construction of monumental architecture. And so the art originated in the Middle Ages and was prevalent in Europe between in the mid 12th century and the 16th century. It was heavily ornate and conceptual, with its architecture characterized by high buildings, intricate aesthetics, cavernous spaces, and expansive walls. It is rooted in French architecture but can be found all over Europe and even in other continents. So they are very ornately designed cathedrals with luminous stained glass windows were commonly constructed at this time. Okay, next. So the period of rebirth or the Renaissance period dating back at 1400 to 1600 CE, it was known as the period of rebirth. This was the time when artists look back to ancient traditions while applying new scientific knowledge. Renaissance art is essential as it was a time of rebirth and discovery. Artists like Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, and Raphael were at the forefront of that change, creation, and discovery. Renaissance art has influenced art and artists for many centuries and continue to influence artists today. And during this time, tempera is used initially in painting until oil paint was introduced, improving the realism and the overall color quality that the artist can generate. It is also in this period where the triangle composition, perspective, and self-portraiture was given birth to. As you can see on the images that is shown on the screen, the portrait of Mona Lisa and the painting of Adam and God. Okay, so next reporter.
Okay. Baroque in 1600 and 1775. The Baroque period can be characterized as an art that convey a religious theme through movement and emotion. Dramatical biblical depiction are common in frescoes and painting. Baroque emphasized dramatic, exaggerated motion, and clear, easily interpreted detail due its exuberant irregularities. Baroque art has often been defined as being bizarre or uneven. The Baroque style used contrast, movements, exuberant detail, deep color, grandeur, and surprise to achieve a sense of awe. Mm, Next, mannerism. Following a tradition developed by Renaissance and Baroque artists, the term mannerism described the style of the painting and bronze sculpture and the stir derived from the Italian maniera, meaning simply style. Mannerism is sometimes defined as the stylish style for its emphasis of self-conscious artifice or realistic defection. Mannerism is a style of European arts that emerged in the later years of Italian high Renaissance around 1520, spreading by about 1530, and lasting until about end of 16th century in Italy when the Baroque style larger replaced it. Rococo. Keeping the tradition with Baroque arts, Rococo was a period of ornate interior design and decorative arts. From the beautiful frescoes, the lavish furniture, Rococo was a period of royal luxury. Rococo is late, commonly Rococo or late Baroque is exceptional ornamental. Our theatrical style of architecture, art, and decoration which combine asymmetry, scrolling curves, gilding, white and pastel colors, sculpting, molding, and trumpy fresco to create surprise and the illusion of motion and drama. Neoclassicism, a reforming a reformation of arts and architecture. Neoclassis Neoclassical art sought to bring back classical elements of the ancient Greeks and Romance. Art was now moving away from decorative and ornate Baroque and Rococo style. Ne- Neoclassicism was a Western culture movement in the decorative visual arts, literature, theater, music, and architecture, the true inspiration from the art and culture of classical antiquity. Romantic, Romanticism and Realism. Romanticism were periods in which artists sought to remove themselves from social and political influence. Artists were interested in creating image that engage strong emotion within the beauty of natural environment. So, so the romanticism is fiction and deal with imagination. And while the realism is non-fictional, deals with a pragmatism. Next po. Our realism. In response to the emotion of romanticism, artists instead began to create images that depicted object reality. A focus on real life scene characterized that realist style. Realism in the arts, the accurate, detailed, unblemished depiction of nature or contemporary life. Realism rejects imaginative idealization in favor of a close observation of outward appearance. As such, realism in its broad sense has comprised many artistic current in different civilization. Impressionism. Developing out of France, this period is characterized by vivid colors and low visible brushwork. Artists began to investigate the changing properties of light in everyday subject matter. The Impressionism developed in France in the 19th century and based on the practice of painting outdoors, the spontaneously on the spot rather in a studio from sketch main and front subject were landscape and scene of everyday life. German Expressionism. Beginning as a culture form of art and poetry in Germany, this period in art history is coined as avant-garde or experimental and innovative. Artists become interested in depicting an emotional experience rather than reality-based imagine, imaginary. German Expressionism was an art movement that emerged in the early 20th century and was characterized by a focus on emotion and idea as inspiration. Cubism. Pablo Picasso and George Braque are the creators of this unique style, characterized by broken, reassembled, and abstracted form. Cubism transform art into unique modern style. Cubism is an artist movement created by Paolo Picasso Guerche, which employs geometric shape and depiction of human and the other forms. Over time, the geometric touch grew so intense that they sometimes overtook the presented forms, creating more pure level of visual abstraction. Next po. Ito po yung mga artworks nila Pablo Picasso and Kurtzberg. Back. Futurism. Originating in Italy, this style of art sought to transform how we see old forms in a new innovative ways. The future is explored every medium of art, including interior design and theater. Futurism was an Italian art movement of the early 20th century that aimed to capture in art dynamism and energy of the modern world. Yun lang po, thanks. Next reporter po.
Hi everyone, good morning. And the next era is the Dada, a cultural movement rooted in Switzerland. Dada was a response to a seriousness of war. Rejecting the traditional standard of art, Dada artists found art and humor in the meaningless objects in everyday life. Dada art is characterized as anti-war and anti-art. Dada was foundation of future art movements such as surrealism and pop art. Since this movement happened or exists during war, it is a movement who do art to express what they are feeling and that they are anti-war and anti-violence. The artist wants to create a universe that was completely different from the one that happening around them, which is war. And the artists want to create something na kung saan sila pwede mag-escape. So the next era or the next art is the surrealism. Characterized by its dreamlike qualities, surrealism became a way for artists to create a unique world of unimagined reality. Artists such as Salvador Dali experimented with the reality and psychological elements, and this is him, the picture. It was influenced by the Sigmund Freud about his theory about psychoanalysis. And the artists in this movement wanted to give psychoanalytic theories a poetic expressions through art. The artworks produced in this era was inspired by dreams and fantasies. So these are the example of that. So the next one is abstract expressionism. A post-World War II movement, abstract expressionism is known for its spontaneous and subconscious style. Instead of working with representational forms, the abstract expressionist work interprets emotional intensity. It is an art without formal patterns, as you can see in the screen. They were painted directly on canvas without any preliminary drawing. So, hindi talaga siya pinlano. Talagang ganun lang talaga ng paint or showing a clear signs that clear signs of artist painting process. Abstract art does not have any title because the artist wants to create an art with different explanations and ideas. So the next one is the color field painting. During 1950, originating in New York City, this abstract form of painting is known by its application of flat field colors. Abstractionist was a group of painters that came to be known as the color field painters. Their name referred to the tendency these artists had to incorporate large areas of colors into their work. A focus on a refined and consistent application of paint is characteristics of this style. Many of us might be wondering na, ano man yung makita namin sa painting na yan na pure color lang man yan. In this field of the art, you don't immediately see the obvious way or you don't know how to interact with it. But as with everything in life, nothing as simple as it is. Kumpara sa atin, hindi natin siya ma-appreciate kasi puro color lang siya. May mga tao na in artistic way, ma-appreciate nila yung mga arts na ganyan. So the next one is pop art. Nag-emerge ito noong 1950. In Britain, pop art is explored in the influences of popular culture such as advertising, comic books, and cultural objects. Pop art was innovative in that was the first style of art to emerge that used a mass-produced imagery in a fine arts context. Pop arts, the artists drew inspirations from Dadaism movements, and they believed that art needed to be closely tied to real life. Kaya yung mga artworks na andito sa pop art is mga totoong tao, totoong like yung sinabi dito na such as advertising, totoong mga brands. And if we visit vintage restaurants sa movies, di ba may mga ganon, or sa USA, makikita natin tong mga artwork ni Michael Jackson or ni Marilyn Monroe. Kasi if we talk about pop art, parang yung mag-sink in sa atin is vintage. Kasi nag-emerge siya noong 1950. So the next one is minimalism. During 1960, a post-World War II movement, minimalism became an expression of the basic and simplified form. Minimalism is an extreme form of abstract art developed in the USA in the 1960s and typified by artworks composed of simple geometric shapes based on the square and the rectangle. Minimalism can be seen a lot today. A lot of people actually appreciates minimalism, and that's something minimalism, and the artists want to produce something that's unlike the precious art genre, and that is cool over dramatic. A lot of homes ngayon in these modern times is yung ano parang theme ng house nila is minimalism, and gaya ng sinabi ko, yung mga artists na nag-produce ng minimalism artworks prefer compared to the other era in this movement, in this era, yung mga artists na nag-produce ng artwork is prefer cool arts over dramatic, kasi yung mga ibang artworks is parang full of emotions, 'di ba? Full of stories. Yung minimalist is parang simple lang but it's cool, yung ganun. Kaya makikita natin siya sa modern day. So the next one is OP art, or the art of optical illusion. Artists such as Vasarely and Bridget Riley sought to explore the illusion of space while experimenting with line, shape, pattern, and color. The result is an impression of movement, vibration, swelling, warping, and hidden imagery. So from the word illusion, illusion is a thing that is likely to be wrongly perceived or interpreted by the senses. It is an aesthetic style that intentionally exploits the oddity of human perception, that gives the human eye the ability to deceive the human brain. Yan yung purpose ng optical illusion. Yung parang kasalungat siya sa kasabihan na what you see is what you get. Kasi yung optical illusion is, yun nga yung nakita po, iba yung ma-receive ng brain mo. Ito yung mga example ng OP art or optical illusion arts. So the postmodern art, nag-exist ito during 1970 up to the present. Artist works in variety of medium including drawing, painting, sculpture, mixed media, collage, printmaking, photography, ceramics, and installation art, to name a few. Postmodern art rejected the traditional values of modernism and instead embraced experimentation with the new media and art forms, including intermedia, installation art, conceptual art, multimedia, performance art, and identity politics. It is everything we can see today. It is through the influence of the old genres of art but embraces the modernity of our society right now, producing art by the use of technology and media. So, today's artists are free to express themselves in any way imaginable. Sometimes it's big and sometimes it's small. In simple words, art can be expressed to different and to various ways, because art is an art. As long as you created it with your imaginary mind, it is an art. So some artists create art which reflects a human message and feelings, like yung picture sa ilalim na nakamask sila. I believe this artwork was created during the COVID-19 or after na COVID-19, yung parang free na lahat. This artwork ng nagaano siya, bigay siya ng message na ito yung naranasan natin during COVID-19, ito tayo. Kaya yung sinasabi dito na the artwork send messages and feelings. Kasi yung mga artists wants to express themselves, kaya sila nila ginawa yung artwork na yan. And many artists look at our environment for inspiration. Not just the artist who paints, but a lot of people na they get inspirations by looking at the nature. There are people who want to see the beach, to create some poetry, to create music. Others want to see trees para makaproduce sila ng artwork nila. And while others continue to look within. It's okay if some of us doesn't have the talent like other people. We will eventually find out kung saan tayo magaling. Just take your time and be patient, and continue exploring your skills and abilities. So, before we finish our reporting, we have a little activity for you guys, which is to make a timeline on different art pieces in the featured eras during the report. Magawa kayo ng timeline ng mga art sa mga eras na pinesent namin kanina. So we have this last quote. Art is an international language understood by all, by Igor Babayo. So again, thank you for listening. That's all for our reporting for today.